What's going on, everybody? Tonight's episode is called Obedience Through Tough Times. So tonight, I want to specifically talk about the issue of first recognizing when those tough times are, and then why it's important that we recognize them. So what I really want to stress on is dealing with the tough times. I think first and foremost, we have to realize that these tough times that we go through they're really important. And they're not really just important because we all go through tough times, but they're important because anything that's worth value has to take some kind of level of sacrifice. And what I mean by that is, if there's something that you really want and it's just given to you, you're really not going to appreciate it. You're really not going to value it. And I'm sure everyone's heard the phrase, you never really know what you got until it's gone. I think that comes with experience, because when you realize that there was something that you had and you no longer have it, but you really want it back, that's when we usually find out the value. And the same thing is true when it comes to our experiences through life, not just the material possessions that we either do have or have had in the past. So the reason why I wanted to do a podcast or an episode specifically on this subject is because it's been kind of happening to me lately. Not to mention, in my experience, in my version of reality, I've also been seeing it happen in a lot of other people's lives as well. And what's really cool is when you get that confirmation whenever other people in your lives or in your life are having the same situation or a similar situation. So here's the main point that I really want to stress tonight, is the obedience in it. One thing that I've noticed, at least in my life, is that usually whenever I'm going through something and I don't like it, the first thing I want to do is get out of it or be relieved of it. And the same thing is true when I'm going through a relationship, or when I'm having issues with my marriage, or in my job, or financially, or being a husband, or being a parent, or a combination of any one of those things. Even a project that I'm working on, if I'm having issues or I'm struggling with it or something along those lines, it's just really tough when I'm faced with adversity and I don't know the answer. And I think the first, most natural reaction to that is we just want to be done with it or get over with it. And I think that's one of the reasons why divorce is so rampant, because whenever we're faced with a challenge in our relationship, we just throw in the towel. That's the reason why people don't look at jobs like careers anymore, is because the first time they have an argument with someone, or they disagree with their boss, or they're having some kind of strife with a coworker, the first thing they want to do is just throw in the towel and just say, I'm done with it. I don't need this. I can go find another one. We don't see the value in what we have. Therefore, we try to throw it away. I mean, look at how many times you have something these days and it's broken, whether a material thing or something like that. And instead of trying to fix it, what do? We just replace it, right? Whether it be a car, cell phone, a trinket, whatever. We don't even look at it being valuable anymore, because in our minds, as easy as it was to obtain, it should be equally as easy to, get another one. But things aren't always that way, especially when it comes through the trials we face in our lives, whether it be our spirituality, our relationships, our jobs, anything like that. We have to look at the value overall in what we have. So this is why I say it's important that we be obedient when it comes to this subject. If we're obedient, and when I say obedient, I mean obedient to the will of God. If we believe that we are in a specific situation for a reason, and that reason should be good, as my dad always says, then I think we should stick with it. But the problem is, we're not obedient. In fact, we're very disobedient in the fact that when we see that there's some kind of a level of work that has to be done, we would rather do the easy part and stop, quit, put a pause on it, and just say, I'm going to take a break. And then we question why things don't work out, right? I love what Les Brown says. He says, if you do what is easy, life will be hard. But if you do what's hard, life will be easy. And what I think he means by that is the harder we work at the things we really care about that may be challenging, the bigger the reward. You know, if you're just in a little relationship with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, that temporary satisfaction is nice, but it's not rewarding as it is with a long-term relationship, because those things bring greater fruit. So I think what we really need to concentrate more on in life are the times where it seems like the easy thing is really important to us, but it's really those challenging things that we don't really harp on that are more rewarding in the long term. I mean, it's just like a college education. I mean, if you can get a college education in 3 months or 6 months, it just doesn't seem as valuable as when you're physically going to the class and you're going and you're creating a relationship with an instructor and you're making friends and you're doing group projects and you're doing those essays. And a lot of people don't like school, but what I'm trying to get you to see is once you walk across that stage and you put in your 4 years or your 6 years or whatever it is, and you're going to graduate school or you're getting your undergraduate degree, it just means so much more when you put that work in rather than just getting an online certificate. And I've done both, but it just means so much more when you've really honed in and you put in that work. I mean, the same thing with a relationship. I mean, when you've been, kind of courting this woman, or, you've been going out with this guy, and, you've been taking your time and introducing them to the family and, really seeing who this person is, and then you eventually take that step, it just means so much more than just a fling. I mean, if you really think about it. And, we just have to really dig deep and look at really the core of the issue, and this is the real reason, at least in my personal opinion, as to why, going back to my overarching thing, is why it makes so much more sense to be a believer than it does to be an atheist, is because, again, in the short term, you would think that something as minute as the Big Bang could essentially give you a reason as to how things could exist. But even then, that's just a piece of the puzzle. It still never answers the bigger question, which is the why. And the why, not even in my own words, but just in the Word of God, is because of love. And love is obedient, because you have to keep going even when you don't want to. You have to keep forgiving even when they don't deserve it. You have to keep investing even when it doesn't seem like it's worth it. And that's the part that you really have to get, because it's always about the bigger picture. You can't always look at the little things, although the little things might seem like they're right in front of you. But if you take a second and step back and look at the overall value, that's when you see the bigger picture. I mean, really, if you think about it, there has to be a mission behind, or a purpose behind, going through those struggles. And I think what we really miss is the fact that we're not grateful for the struggle. Think about it like this. You go to work, you come home, and you do this day after day until you eventually get a paycheck, right? And then you can pay your bills, most of them anyway. And maybe you have a little left over, depending on your situation. Some people are more fortunate than others. Some people are more talented than others. But have you ever thought about the fact that you have to be grateful enough to be able to even get to work, to even have a job? Let's take it a step further. To be grateful that you even have the ability to work. I'm sure a lot of us know people that are disabled. And again, this is nothing against the handicapped or the disabled or anything along those lines. I think those people are still citizens as well. But there's so many people that cannot work, let alone don't want to. And there's so many of us that just don't want to. And that's something that you also have to take into account as well. You have to be grateful for what you can do. I went to a concert yesterday, And, in the midst of the concert, I'm screaming and singing and everything. And, and it hit me. I'm so grateful to be able to, out of the 7 days of the week, take one day and really just relax and hang out and have fun with my wife and my child, But I'm also grateful in the fact that I can do that. The fact that I'm even able to see. I'm able to hear. I know some of my really great friends that don't have the ability to hear as well as I do. And again, that's nothing against them, but I'm fortunate enough to have that ability. But some people aren't. One of my wife's best friends, unfortunately, she's wheelchair bound. She doesn't have the ability to jump up and down at a concert like we did just yesterday. But again, are you grateful? But this same friend of hers calls us on every birthday. I mean, how many people take the time, even with their abilities, to make a phone call to those people that they say they love? And some people, again, look at it as a struggle. Oh, I have to talk to this person. Other people look at it like they're grateful they can talk to someone. So again, I don't want to make this, 13, 14 minutes long with no purpose. I hope people understand that when it comes to being obedient through the struggles we face, we have to focus on the purpose, and we have to focus on the fact that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. There is a silver lining. You have to focus on the positive because it's so easy to succumb to the negative. But we have to focus on things that matter and that benefit us. If there's anything you got out of this, please just understand that there's more great and there's more good out there than there is negative. But it all depends on how you focus on it. All right, one love, and God bless.